Why don't you tell us a little bit about like specifically what we're looking at in the next issue? Like you said you've been putting this out since 2016. How have things changed? Have you like drilled in deeper on like what your core your core offering is? Has that changed or
Yeah, we actually did a rebrand and relaunch with an all new number one back in 2019 because, our first few years we were called Cirsova Magazine of Heroic Fantasy and Science Fiction. And one of the reasons why we changed it was we just got so many submissions that were just, Dungeons and Dragons kind of fan fiction stuff, not really pulpy stuff in the veins of what we were looking for. And also, by sheer miracle, we ended up with a lost Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan story that fell in our laps. And this is neither a science fiction story nor a fantasy story, but it is an adventure story. So what better a time to rebrand as a magazine of thrilling adventure and daring suspense? So, the kinds of stories that we look for and publish haven't really changed since we first started the magazine. But one of the things that we've found is, focusing on the action, the adventure, and the romance lets us reach a wider audience. I think we don't fall into that same fantasy and science fiction ghetto since we try to frame ourselves as a bit more diverse in our offerings.
adventure is a very interesting word. That's funny because like my band Puma Thurman, we refer to ourselves as an adventure rock band, in part because we don't really neatly fit into any genre. We're not a metal band. We're not, I don't know, a rock band or a punk band. We're just write weird songs generally about movie characters.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and adventure stories are stories where things happen. That's one of the things that we always look for is stories where things happen and actions have consequences that matter. There are so many stories out there that are just, people sitting around talking. Like I know that Isaac Asimov is like just this big legend. Everybody's like, "Oh, I love Isaac Asimov. He's one of the kings of science fiction." Almost all of his stories are just a bunch of eggheads sitting around in a room having a conversation discussing some topic until one of them figures out the solution to whatever the heck it is they're discussing. That's the story. That's all it is.
well, and I'm a big Asimov fan, and the reason I'm a fan is because I do like the very cerebral storytelling where the whole point in science fiction is to take an idea and like really tear apart the idea, in my opinion. So I like that good hard sci-fi, but there's that's not adventure stories.
Yeah, I think you can do that though, but with more stuff happening. I mean, my issue with Asimov is, I mean, he's a brilliant scientist, but he just cannot tell a story to save his life. At least that's just how I feel. So, like, I love his nonfiction stuff. His nonfiction, it has some of the best, easy to understand and digest scientific explanations for whatever topic it is he's writing on. But just when it comes to his fiction stuff, I'm like, I can't do it. Which is one of the reasons why we had that big science fiction, that Asimov science fiction giveaway last week, because I inherited my dad's fairly sizable science fiction collection, and he had a whole lot of Asimov, and I don't have anywhere to put all of it, so I'm like, I'm probably never going to get to these. I'll give them to people who want them.
Well, and it's funny. It's like I do love Asimov, but honestly, like when it comes down to like the reading of fiction, I do like probably more activity going on. I like a story. That's why I like the he said Edgar Rice Burroughs. That stuff's so good.
Yeah, if I don't know if you've read much Raymond F. Jones, but he's the sort of guy who could write basically a quality assurance story that he could sell to Campbell's for astounding, and then go around and write a ray gun romance that he could sell to Planet Stories. So if you like the stuff that Asimov is able to do with his fiction, but like more action and adventure to it, Raymond F. Jones is a name that you definitely should check out. And Ross Rocklin as well. Like before the meme of the big three of Heinlein, Hubbard, and Asimov, Ross Rocklin was considered one of the kings of science fiction.